Adrian Caldwell was a boy of 11 who lived in a mansion. It was a sprawling labyrinth of dark wood and gleaming marble. His parents were always away. They travelled the world, amassing fortunes and collecting rare artifacts. Adrian was left in the care of the mansion's staff, a stoic butler named Mr. Grimshaw and a kind-hearted housekeeper, Mrs. Peabody. Adrian spent his days exploring the mansion's many rooms, each more opulent than the last. He roamed the echoing hallways adorned with portraits of stern-faced ancestors. There were sprawling libraries filled with leather-bound books and dusty artifacts. He often felt a strange presence in the mansion, a feeling that he was both privileged and utterly alone. The mansion stood on a windswept cliff overlooking the roaring sea. Locals whispered tales of the Caldwell family. They spoke of their immense wealth and their strange, secretive ways. The mansion itself was shrouded in rumours. Some said it was haunted. Others claimed it held hidden passages and forgotten rooms. Adrian, however, never paid these stories any mind. He preferred the company of his books and his vivid imagination. One night, as a fierce thunderstorm raged outside, Adrian felt a growing unease. The wind howled like a banshee, rattling the windows and making the portraits on the walls sway. He sat in his room, a book of ghost stories lying open on his lap. But the words blurred before his eyes. He could hear whispers coming from the walls. They were faint, almost indistinguishable from the storm outside. But they seemed to weave their way into his mind, whispering secrets he couldn't quite grasp. Adrian tried to ignore them, telling himself it was just the storm playing tricks on him. But the whispers persisted, growing louder, more insistent. His room felt colder now, the air heavy with a strange, oppressive feeling. The shadows seemed to deepen, stretching out from the corners of the room like grasping claws. Adrian shivered, pulling his blanket tighter around himself. He had always been a brave boy, but there was something about this night that filled him with a primal fear. He tried to call for Mrs. Peabody, but his voice caught in his throat. The storm reached its crescendo, a deafening roar that shook the very foundations of the mansion. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck close by, illuminating the room in a blinding flash. Adrian gasped, his heart pounding in his chest. When his vision cleared, he noticed something strange. A loose floorboard near his bookshelf had shifted, revealing a small, leather-bound book. Curious, Adrian got out of bed and picked up the book. It was surprisingly heavy, bound in what looked like ancient, worn leather. He ran his fingers over the cover, feeling a strange energy emanating from it. The book had no title, but as he turned it over, he noticed a silver clasp keeping it shut. He fumbled with the clasp, his fingers trembling with anticipation and a hint of trepidation. As the clasp clicked open, a musty smell wafted from the book's pages. It was the scent of time and decay, of secrets long forgotten. Adrian took a deep breath, a mixture of fear and excitement coursing through him. He opened the book, his eyes widening as he saw the faded ink and elegant script within. The diary belonged to a distant relative, a sea captain named Elias Caldwell, who had lived in the mansion centuries ago. His entries were filled with tales of his voyages to far-off lands, encounters with strange creatures, and whispers of a dark secret he had brought back from the sea. Adrian found himself drawn into the captain's world, his imagination running wild with images of ghostly ships and uncharted islands. But as he delved deeper into the diary, the entries took on a darker, more disturbing tone. Captain Caldwell wrote of a growing paranoia, a sense that he was being watched, hunted by something he couldn't see. He described vivid nightmares filled with shadowy figures and whispered threats. Adrian began to experience similar visions, fleeting glimpses of dark shapes lurking at the edge of his vision. He felt a constant unease, as if he were being watched by unseen eyes. The whispers in the walls grew louder, more insistent, echoing the captain's paranoia. Adrian tried to shake off these feelings, to dismiss them as figments of his imagination. But the diary had planted a seed of doubt in his mind, a chilling fear that something sinister lurked beneath the surface of his once familiar home. The diary became an obsession. Adrian neglected his studies, ignoring Mr. Grimshaw's stern pronouncements. He spent hours on the brittle pages, captivated by Captain Caldwell's descent into madness. The captain's writing became more frantic, filled with desperate urgency.
He wrote of a hidden chamber within the mansion, concealing a dark secret from the sea. The captain believed this secret was the source of his torment.
Adrian felt an irresistible pull to decipher these clues. He believed that by uncovering the captain's secret, he could break the diary's hold. Night after night, Adrian locked himself in his room, the diary open before him. He pored over maps, searching for any indication of a hidden chamber. He experimented with different combinations, trying to crack the captain's code. One clue in particular caught Adrian's attention. Captain Caldwell wrote of a serpent's eye that guards the way. Adrian searched the mansion from top to bottom, looking for anything that resembled a serpent's eye. Finally, his search led him to a dusty old tapestry in the mansion's grand hall. The tapestry depicted a scene of a fierce sea battle, with ships clashing and cannons roaring.
And there, woven into the fabric near the bottom of the tapestry, was a small, almost imperceptible detail, a serpent with a gleaming ruby eye.
Adrian's heart pounded as he reached out and touched the serpent's eye. To his astonishment, the tapestry swung inward, revealing a dark, narrow passageway behind it. He hesitated for a moment, fear battling with his insatiable curiosity. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the passageway, the tapestry swinging shut behind him. The air in the passage was stale and cold, thick with the scent of dust and decay. Adrian made his way cautiously through the darkness, his hand trailing along the damp stone wall. He could hear the faint sound of dripping water echoing through the passage. The passage twisted and turned, seeming to go on forever. Adrian began to feel a sense of claustrophobia, the walls closing in on him. He had to see this through to the end.
Finally, the passage opened into a small, circular chamber. A single flickering lantern cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. In the center stood a pedestal with a small, ornate box.
Adrian cautiously approached the box, his hand outstretched. As he drew closer, he felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. The air grew heavy, charged with a strange energy. The shadows in the chamber seemed to writhe and coil, as if alive. Adrian stumbled back, his heart pounding in his chest. Adrian's hand trembled. He reached out to the strange box. Was it the source of his ancestors' madness? The key to the mansion's secrets? Or something more sinister? He hesitated. He thought of the captain's warnings, the fear that dripped from every page of the diary. As he reached out to open the box, he heard a noise behind him. A soft, shuffling sound, like something dragging itself across the stone floor.
"Who's there?"
he whispered, his voice trembling. There was no answer, only the sound of his own ragged breathing and the drip, drip, drip of water. Adrian took a step back, his hand instinctively reaching for the wall to steady himself. His fingers brushed against something cold and slick. He recoiled in horror, his heart pounding against his ribs. He knew then that he was not alone in the darkness. The lantern flickered, casting grotesque shapes on the walls. Then it went out, plunging Adrian into absolute darkness. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the chamber, then silence. The mansion stood silent, its secrets kept safe once more. What became of young Adrian Caldwell no one knows, but the whispers in the walls remain, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lies hidden beneath the surface of even the most beautiful things.